Greetings and salutations. Chapter 5 of And They Were Lab Partners by How About No? What you mean to me. You didn't end up dying, thank God, but you did arrive on shaky legs. Donatello had to catch you when you stepped out of your seat. He gave you a cheeky grin as you got your bearings underneath you. Still getting your sky legs, I see. Not a word, Donatello, you said. You stood on a solid step and sighed, letting go of your hold on Donnie. Next time, we're taking the subway. Donnie snorted. Whatever you say, sweetums. He stepped away from you and started lifting a manhole cover. You tilted your head in confusion, finally registering the dark alley you were in. This isn't a scheme to kill me, is it? You're far more useful to me alive than dead, Donnie said. He finally popped the lid off the sewer cover, placing it off to the side. Now in you go. You took a moment to ponder your life, how you got here, what you were about to do, who you were spending your time with. It would be really lame if you died in a sewer. Killed by a theater kid, no less. You weren't known for your sanity in most situations. I will haunt your ass if I die down there, you threatened Donnie. He shrugged, offering a hand to help you down onto the ladder. You took it, but not without giving him a suspicious glare. You made your way down the metal ladder, with Donnie following close after. You let out a sigh of relief the moment that your feet hit solid ground again. You were still a little shaky from the jetpack ride. Not that you would let Donnie know that. You were surprised to see how cozy the lair was. You weren't in the sewers at all. It looked like you were in an abandoned subway lobby. There was an assortment of couches that surrounded a crate with a projector on it. Their projector screen was huge. It made you a little envious when you thought about your own dorm room setup. Donnie dropped down next to you, wiping his hands on his side. Come on, my lab is this way, he said while walking into one of the many hallways. You followed close behind him. You definitely would get lost down here by yourself. You heard laughing, a delighted screech, and a loud thud from another area of the lair. Donnie's pace picked up as he registered the noise. Was that one of your brothers? Can I meet them? Yes, most likely Raph and Mikey, and maybe later, Donnie said. The two of you had arrived at a door that Donnie was typing an absurdly long password into. The door slid up into the ceiling with a hiss. If my brothers catch wind of a new person down here, all of our plans might as well be tossed out the metaphorical window. Your plans, Dee Dee. You trailed off as your jaw dropped in shock as you took in the room. Donnie had lab equipment and tools you could only dream of, much less be allowed within 15 feet of. Holy shit! Is that a Form Labs 3D printer? The engineering department has a week-long waitlist on those things, you exclaimed. You bounced around the room, taking in Donnie's collection. He had multiple centrifuges and a set of micropipettes, so new you almost drooled over them. You hadn't seen anything that nice at your college, much less in a personal lab. Your eyes trailed over to what you assumed to be the mechanical side of the lab. Your hands itched to get a hand on the MIG weld Donnie had stashed in the corner with his other metalworking equipment. Everything from the lights to the handles on the micropipettes were in various shades of purple, you noted with fondness. What was Donnie except perturbably on brand? I think I could die happy here, you said, finally turning back around to Donnie. I'm glad you were suitably impressed, Donnie said. He had his arms crossed and a smug look on his face that you knew all too well. He moved over to a darker section of the lab, flicking on a light switch you didn't even know was there. But what is equipment without deeper brilliance? The real showstopper is... A party? Without me? Another figure interrupted, draping an arm over his head like a prima donna. You wound me, my one and only twin. Leo, how did you get in here? Donnie asked. Leo dropped the act and flashed Donnie a cheeky grin. Leo was one of Donnie's brothers, you assumed. The two of them were similar in height, but Leo didn't wear a battle shell like Donnie does. His skin was also a different shade of green, with completely different markings. You wondered if they were different species of turtle. You watched from the side as Leo goaded and teased Donnie. Any bully of Donnie was a friend of yours, you decided with a smile. I have a guest, dum-dum, Donnie said through clenched teeth. Leo paused his terrorizing, looking over at you. He remembered himself and walked towards you with a smile, his masked tails smacking Donnie in the face. Pleasure to meet you, Leo said. He held out his hand to you, but you hesitated. You remember those red markings on Leo's face, your mind flashing back to when you were trapped in Metro Tower during the Krang invasion. For 4 days, you had barricaded yourself in your mom's office. You nearly died when you tried to make a break for it. You only survived because a yokai saved you at the last second. This yokai. Holy shit, it's you! You exclaimed. Donnie and Leo looked at you, confused. You sighed, raising your hand to show your prosthetics. 5 years ago, at Metro Tower, you saved my ass from a Krang zombie. Realization dawned on Leo's face. Donnie just looked even more confused. You were the kid on the sixth floor, Leo said. His eyes looked cloudy for a moment, but he quickly snapped out of it. Gotta say, did not expect to run into you again, much less in Donnie's lab, Leo said. He surveyed your hand. Glad to see you didn't lose the whole arm. Katanas are not board-certified surgical equipment. He laughed. Glad to see that the dude that chopped off the other 2 fingers are still kicking it. Excuse me, what? Donnie interjected. He looked a little flabbergasted and flustered. It wasn't a look that you were familiar with on Donnie. Leo saved me from turning into a zombie when one of them decided that my hand would be a tasty snack, he exclaimed. I was about 5 seconds away from being Krangified before he swooped in. Donnie's face became starkly neutral. Leo slung an arm over your shoulder, leaving you without time to process his reaction. Oh, just a normal day as a hero, heroing it up heroically, Leo said, preening. You batted him off with a smile on your face. Say that to my missing pinky, Superman, you teased. Leo's face fell just a tad. You were quick to recover. But I gotta say, it wasn't all that bad building the replacement, you said. I got Bluetooth connections up the wazoo. You used your thumb to click on the light up feature you had added to your prosthetics when you were young and dumb and were prone to shorting out electronics. You kept it only as a party trick. Leo's eyes widened in intrigue. He took your hand in his and started messing with your prosthetics. Wow, you built these from scratch, Leo said. He started forcing your fingers to clench and unfurl. No wonder Donnie has you holed up in his lab. Donnie, for his part, had the consciousness to look embarrassed for his brother crossing several boundaries within the first time meeting you in a life-threatening interaction. He leaned against one of his work tables with his arms crossed. He pointedly turned his nose up at Leo's actions, which made you snort. You decided to humor Leo, letting him mess with your hand for just a while longer. More like I gutted the ones they tried to stick on me and spent 3 years rewriting their code. But yeah, you said with an air of pride, these are all me for the most part. You wiggled your prosthetics at Leo, finally pulling them from his grasp. He looked properly impressed while stroking that little part of your ego that you really got to express. It wasn't often you got to bring up your prosthetics in conversation beyond awkward stares and rushed condolences. You were more than a disability, damn it. You were a goddamn scientist. But don't get it twisted. Donnie only loves me for my chemistry skills, you said. You stuck your tongue out at Donnie. Donnie uncrossed his arms but looked no less annoyed. False. I have no love for anything chemistry related, Donnie corrected. He uncrossed his arms, but his tone was no less irritated. All right, Leon, if you please, Donnie motioned for the door. You watched as the two of them exchanged a subtle communication that you would never hope to be able to begin to decipher. You tried following along with their micro-expressions as best you could. You knew Leon had lost the second argument when he rolled his eyes and sighed. All right, I know when I'm not wanted. It was nice meeting you properly. Hopefully I'll see you around the lair more, Leo said. He gave you a friendly pat on the shoulder and headed for the door. Likewise, you said to him. Donnie clapped his hands together, moving from his position against his desk. All right, we'll finish up the tour and then begin the movie? You tilted your head at him. What about tour and movie? Yes or no? Donnie interrupted. You bit the inside of your cheek, stopping yourself from saying something unnecessarily cheeky. You hadn't dealt with a snippy Donnie since the first week of meeting him. This was more uncharted territory for you. You decided not to press on him about Project Kappa Kappa, even if that was the whole reason you were there. Tour and movie sound great, Dee Dee, you said. You gave him a bright smile, trying to be as amenable as possible. Donnie shifted to full tour guide mode, launching back into explanations for his different equipment. You followed behind him, nodding along to his speech. God, you were such a good friend. The two of you eventually made it to Donnie's bedroom, which had a few beanbag chairs and a projector already set up. Donnie stepped past you, scooping up a few empty bowls. It appears that Sheldon did not make popcorn like I requested. I will be only a moment, Donnie said. He walked back out of his room and presumably into a mysterious kitchen you hadn't been shown yet. Donnie left you standing there alone and wondering who the heck Sheldon was. You took it upon yourself to get comfortable. You flopped down into one of Donnie's plush beanbag chairs, punching it into shape. You allowed your head to fall back. Donnie had little stars and galaxies painted on his ceiling, you noted with a smile. You tried to make out constellations that you could recognize while you waited for Donnie's return. He appeared at the door about 10 minutes later and wordlessly handed you a fresh bowl of popcorn. He settled himself in the beanbag next to you and tapped on his tech gauntlet. The projector booted up and Moulin Rouge started playing almost immediately. I think I'm gonna redecorate my dorm room to look like the elephant, you said. The movie was at the part where Christian was meeting Satine for the first time. The sheer hijinks of the scene made it one of your favorites. Donnie grunted but didn't comment further. You furrowed your brow. Did I ever tell you that me and my friends did a group Moulin Rouge costume for Halloween last year? I busted out my old Dr. Frankenfurter corset for Satine's outfit, you said, gesturing to her outfit on screen. Donnie grunted again. Donnie was a turtle of many qualities, but quiet in the presence of one of interests was not one of them. Even when he was showing you YouTube videos, the two of you were constantly talking through it. But there he sat, quiet and static as ever. Donnie stayed silent. His body was curled away from you and half hidden under a Jupiter gym blanket. Dee Dee, you tried again. He sighed, wrapping the blanket tighter around himself. You rubbed at your forehead, becoming more irritated with every passing second. Dude, just tell me why you're being like this. I can't fix anything if you don't communicate. You took a deep breath in and let it out, trying to force your frustration out of you. Donnie finally uncurled his body, turning himself toward you. Why didn't you tell me all that? About your hand, about the Krang, Donnie said quietly. His hands were clenching and unclenching at his side. You never asked, you shrugged. Donnie turned his head toward you. You saw the muscle on his jaw clench. Hey, Dee Dee, you said, touching his hand just gentle enough for him to be able to move away if he needed to. He didn't. Krang zombies, amputation, near-death experiences, that's not exactly easy topics of conversation to have with the dude you send memes to and study with, you said almost pleadingly. Donnie pinched his mouth. He was hesitating, a million words on the tip of his tongue, but nothing he was brave enough to say. I would like to be, Donnie said, still not looking at you. You tilted your head at him, not sure what to say. Project Kappa Kappa, the Krang, Donnie shook his head, searching for the words. He opened his hand and allowed you to touch his palm. He laced his fingers with yours, squeezing them gently. The Krang took something from me, too. You squeezed your hand and held his back. His fingers were in between your flesh ones, your prosthetic left awkwardly to the side. Despite that, you found that your three-fingered hand managed to fit quite well. Tell me, you said softly, if you want. Donnie gave you a nervous smile. I was connected to their spaceship as part of a last-ditch plan to send them back into the prison dimension. They ripped me from the controls while I was still physically connected. Psychically connected. He worried the bottom lip between his teeth, a nervous habit you both shared. He kneaded at the back of your hand for comfort. Donnie let out a sad chuckle before continuing. I can't focus the same way I used to. I can't use any of my technologies without headaches or even when I use my glasses. I'm not useful the same way I was before the invasion, he said. Everything within you screamed to tell him he was wrong, that Donnie was perfectly capable the way he was, but you held your tongue. Donnie squeezed your hand one last time and let it go before letting it fall back into your lap. He looked up at you. That's what Project Kappa Kappa is for. I'm going to circumvent the need to see entirely and tap into the occipital lobe so that I can interact with my screens in my mind's eye. Donnie smiled at you, nodding towards your hand. The Krang can't keep affecting me if I rise above the problem, just like you. You returned Donnie's smile, feeling your face grow slightly warm. Donnie, that's amazing. Donnie held a finger up to shush you. You quieted down, letting him have his soapbox. It was, in fact, incredibly difficult for you to stay quiet this long. You hoped that Donnie recognized your effort. I want you to be my lab partner, Donnie said. You look at him with shock, but he continued on. We obviously work well together, and you have a surprising amount of expertise that I wasn't even privy to before today. I believe that you'll be instrumental in helping me complete this project. You honestly didn't know what to say. This wasn't just some CO2 car project that you were partnering up for. This was personal. You remembered when you woke up at the hospital, half of your hand missing. You remembered being numb as the doctors explained the experimental prosthetic surgery you were a good candidate for. You remembered seeing your new hand for the first time and bawling, hating the ache, hating that anyone with their hands on you, hating that anyone had invaded your skin like that zombie had all that time ago. You remembered being numb, not talking, barely looking at the glint of metal beneath the bandages and compression garments. So yeah, you knew how big of a deal it was for Donnie to ask you to help him with this. You took Donnie's hand in yours, bringing it closer to your face. Othello von Ryan, my fake boyfriend and second favorite pain in the ass, I would be honored to be your lab partner. Donnie gave you a crooked, uninhibited smile. Are you free Saturday? End of chapter 5. Thank you for listening, and I will have a link in the description to the original story. I would like to say thank you to But How About No for letting me do this. Have a good day.